the Worrier to Warrior the Worrier to Warrior card deck. Go from Worrier to Warrior, and I've cut up the It'll come to me. Where are you? And you can hear the sizzling sounds I love. I think. Hopefully, I can. Welcome, it's me, Martin Salama, the architect of the Warriors Life Code. Live incredibly full every day, back in the kitchen, cooking with Martin, cooking and coaching with Martin. And today, we're gonna make the best marinara sauce, homemade. It's probably better outside, but homemade marinara sauce, but I love it. I love it a lot. And I found this recipe, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I was looking for where I found it to give that person credit, but I couldn't find it. And also I made some changes to it, minor changes, but it's a great recipe and it's so easy. So first thing I'm gonna do is turn on the fire, which I forgot to do before we started. It's okay. And then I'm gonna put in a half a cup of olive oil on the bottom. There we go, half a cup of olive oil. That'll go on the bottom there. Okay, stick that in the sink. And then I'm gonna put in some onions and some garlic and some aromas like fresh basil, fresh parsley, and some oregano. And just a note about the basil, make sure you wash it first. Even if it says washed, wash it first. One time I made pesto, and Sue was like, oh, this is delicious, but did you wash it? I feel very gritty in my mouth. I don't know how it is, but basil collects a lot of sand. So you gotta wash them. I like to wash them, dry them, and then I cut them up into chopped basil and the chopped parsley, as well as a little bit of dried oregano. But today, let's talk about the next thing I'm going to talk about. And that is going to be another part of my cards, which are the Worrier to Warrior, the Worrier to Warrior card deck. Sometimes my Brooklyn accent screws that up. And today, we're going to talk about the L.I.F.E Mood Lifter Method to stay positive no matter what's going on around you. Or sometimes I like to say, stay positive no matter what's pissing you off. So we're gonna go through that and tell you all about that as we're gonna go through the cooking. And again, I'm using the L.I.F.E acronym because if you have things like life or acronyms in your life or mantras or things like that, they're great to remember and they're great to really utilize in your life as you're trying to get through every day, and sometimes things come up, and that's what's great about the cards. You go, oh, I'm feeling something today, and oh, the L.I.F.E mood lifter method. Let me look at that one and relate to it and get a little more tangible. So that's what we're going to do today. So first, I put in the onions. I'm going to put the onions in now, okay, and I'm going to let them saute for a few minutes. It says 5 to 8 minutes, but it depends on your oil, on the heat of the oil. It depends on the fire. I put it on a medium heat. So we'll let that just sweat a little bit and get a little translucent. So that'll take a few minutes. And that's step one. It's such an easy recipe. And what we do is we also use crushed tomatoes. And if I can find them, I like to use San Marzano tomatoes. That's the recipe. I always said try it. They will say San Marzano. I guess they're a much better tomato. But so we'll do that too. So I'm going to go over quickly the L.I.F.E method, and then we'll talk about it again. The L.I.F.E mood lifter method. So first, L, live responsibly. Take responsibility for everything that's going on in your life. Y, inspire yourself by not complaining, blaming, worrying, criticizing. Go from worrier to warrior. All right? F, feel gratitude. Live with gratitude. Look for things that are positive in your life and say thank you. Write 3 things down in the morning. I've talked about that before. And 3 things down in the afternoon, and not at the night before you go to bed. And then E, embrace those new things that are happening. And if something small happens, don't say, oh, it's a coincidence. It's part of the whole picture of what's going on. So you embrace it. So we'll go a little deeper into that as we go along. So the onions are looking real good. Give it another few moments here to let them happen. And I've cut up I've cut up the it'll come to me. The basil and the parsley, and then also, before we put in the aromatics, we're gonna put in some garlic, some chopped garlic, and I'm looking for. Where are you? There we go. Another little. I love these scrapers. They make things easy to come out. So now that this has been for a couple of minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes, something like that. They're looking very good, and they're going to continue to cook now after I put the garlic in. Okay, scraping them all out, and you can hear the sizzling sounds I love. I think, hopefully, I can. And yeah, so I have a funny story to tell you about this. So I started to make this recipe and record it yesterday. And at about 5 or 6 minutes into it, I realized I forgot to turn on the microphone. And this is a Bluetooth microphone, so there's 2 pieces to it. And if you don't turn them both on, it's silence. It's total silence. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I got to record some videos. So I said, okay. I made one yesterday. And show you the jar. One of the jars of that. So here it is. And then I said, okay, you know what? The family really loves it. It's all great. So we'll do that. And you know, the other day I was talking about I was away. It's a few days after we came back from San Francisco, Palo Alto, and all that. And while I was there, I talked about this. I sent a picture. I found this shirt in the Jewish Community Center of Palo Alto. I was like, oh my God, live fully. So I get to live fully. And that's what gave me the idea about using the L.I.F.E mood lifter method today. Okay, so this is smelling real good, and now it's going to get even better because I'm going to add the aromatics of the parsley and the basil and the oregano. Stick that all in there, and then we're going to mix that around for a few minutes. And it's about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, and the recipe says keep stirring. So I'm going to keep stirring, and it's really, as soon as you start to smell the basil and the parsley and the oregano, and the aroma starts coming up, you know you're pretty close to finished with what's with it. But okay, I'm not going to stop stirring. I just said, you know, keep stirring, and then I almost stopped. We'll get a little more of those things in there. Okay, great. Put that away. Get rid of that. Like to clean up as we're going along. So yeah, and then I take 2 cans of 28-ounce San Marzano crushed tomatoes. And if you can't find them, just use regular tomatoes. Don't be like me. I was always like, oh, I got to do it right to the recipe. So this is smelling real good. Ooh, it smells so good. Okay, so now I'm going to take this out for a second, and I'm going to pour in 1 can and another can. All right, now we'll mix this all around. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some salt and pepper. There's salt. Don't worry, it's always going to need more salt. Trust me, I know. And then the pepper, I love using fresh ground pepper. So I got a bunch of pepper mills. This one seems to be my favorite. Mix that around. And so now what's going to happen is I'm going to wait for this to boil. And once it boils, I'm going to lower the heat to simmer. And for at least 20 minutes, I'm going to let it simmer like that. And then I'm going to add what I call, what I think they originally called it as well, the secret ingredient, the one that kicks it up. And that's balsamic vinegar. And the balsamic vinegar takes it to a whole nother level. And I say 1 to 2 tablespoons of the balsamic vinegar. I always put 2. We like strong tastes in our family. We like things like that. So, you know, I'll come back in a little bit. But before I leave now, I just want to touch on what we were talking about. So imagine if you can take out this card, or think about it. Even if you don't buy the cards, it's not about buying the cards. It's about getting the mindset straight. And every day you wake up complaining, or this is whatever. And I'll go into a little more detail. But live responsible. Take responsibility for your life. Don't look to blame anybody else. Don't look to complain. Don't look to say, oh, the world is falling apart because of the president. Who cares who the president is? It has nothing to do with you. That's number one. Inspire yourself to be the best you that you can be. That's by not complaining, by doing by doing everything the right way, by being careful about everything you do, and being impeccable with your words. You know, the full agreement stuff. Always do the right thing, and then feel gratitude. Go around and say thank you all over the place. You know, I have this thing that I talk about a lot, and that's I when I'm out, I try to make at least one person laugh every day. I really do. I go and I even tell them, thank you for letting me fill my quota for laughing. They're like, what? So it's not only about the laugh, because the laugh will go away. Now I've given them an opportunity to understand that I've touched them, they've touched me, and we can move forward from there. And I even sometimes say, you know what, pass it on, pay it forward, make somebody else laugh, and tell them thanks for letting me have the opportunity to make you laugh, and pass it forward. And then last, embrace it. Don't look at the little things that are happening and saying, oh, it's a coincidence, it's all part of the bigger picture, it's all part of the bigger plan. So I'm going to go away for a few minutes, because you don't need to sit and watch me do the simmering and the boiling. So, I know I'm interesting, but you know, to sit around for all that time is not so much fun. But anyway, and then I'll come back and I'll show you those last steps of putting in the balsamic vinegar. Here we go, balsamic vinegar, and I have my jars ready for later to fill them up, and we'll come back and we'll continue this conversation. Okay, so the marinara sauce has been on low, very low, simmering for about 45 minutes. I write in the recipe 20 minutes. If you're in a rush, you can do 20 minutes, but the longer the better. And if you saw, what I did was I had a cover on it, but it's just partially covered. You see there's a little bit of a hole here to let some of the air out, but you don't want it all out. You want just partially covered. So now I took it off, and it smells fantastic. It really, really smells unbelievable. I'm excited about this. And so what I'm going to do now is add the 2 tablespoons of the secret ingredient, like I said, which is the balsamic vinegar. Okay, get it in there real good. If you noticed, I cleaned up. I like to clean as I go, so it's all cool, and so I don't have to feel overwhelmed later when I have to clean up. So now I'm mixing this around. Let it cook a little bit more. And incorporate it, and it really literally kicks it up a whole nother notch when you do that. When you add the balsamic vinegar, it gives a completely whole new flavor. And like I said, I like to use 2 tablespoons. You might want to use 1 tablespoon. Test it out, try it out, see what you think about it. And let's get back to what we were talking about, which is the L.I.F.E mood lifter method. And I went through them quickly, and and what I'm going to do now is I decided I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to go deeper into each one of the 4 steps of life in the mood lifter method. And in that video, I'm going to make meatballs. So we'll have meatballs with marinara sauce. So live responsibly. Take responsibility for everything going on in your life. Take responsibility. Say it's okay. What's happening is. Then, right on the heels of that, inspire yourself. Stop complaining, worrying, criticizing, blaming. Go from worrier to warrior. Feel gratitude. Look for things that are positive in your life and expand on them. Go from worrier to warrior. And embrace that new belief, that the new beliefs you're doing here are working for you. Be aware of the results as they start to show up. And don't take anything for granted. Don't say, oh, this is just a one-off, it's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's all part of that whole law of attraction, which I've talked about before, the cycle of A's. And the things that happen are because you're manifesting them. And the ether is listening out there. I know it's a little woo-woo. I get a little woo-woo every once in a while. But just a reminder, warrior to warrior card deck. Go get it. Even if you don't have to, but it's a good thing. Go to connectwithmartin.com. I've got some free things there that you can download, some fun stuff. And you could also reach out to me. And I love to hear the comments. Give me comments below. Tell me what you're thinking about. Tell me you like it. Subscribe. Tell me what else you want me to make. Tell me what else you want me to talk about. So that's all I got for today. I really am enjoying doing these things with you because it really helps me to help you. And it gives me the opportunity to love what I do on so many levels and put them all together. I love to cook. Put this back on like this. I love to cook. And the whole cooking thing. And the reason I even came up with this marinara sauce recipe was when I first started to cook 10 years ago, whenever it was, 10, 12 years ago, I was in this mode of, why should I go out and buy stuff like marinara sauce or whatever if I can make it? So I would Google those things and learn how to make them. And you've heard me talk about this before. It became part of my life. And at the time, you know, I wasn't making much money. I was in a dead-end job. So if I could save money by buying the ingredients somewhere and coming home and doing it, it was fantastic. It was a great way of being able to do that. And when I found this recipe, I'm like, it sounds like it's too good to be true. So easy, so simple and easy. And it really was. So I said, and then I started cooking and I loved it. And I said that, and I love coaching. I love it. I love getting in there and getting involved with people and showing them how they can move their needle, even if it's a little bit, because every little bit of the needle you move in your mindset will give you great results if you stay within it. It's not about moving the needle and then coming back. It's about moving the needle, moving a little more, moving in a good way so that you can figure out the things that you want to do. And that's where coaching comes in, not just with me, with everybody. I believe coaching has a place in everybody's life. It gives people an accountability partner. And that's where I come in. That's where other coaches come in. And I believe that the world can be a better place if people understand that it's okay to be coached. If you need therapy, it's okay to go for therapy and to expand yourself and look for the good around people. Look for the good around things. I went much further than I wanted to. I can do that sometimes. I can just start rambling away. What can I say? I'm a rambler. But that's what it's about. And there's so much good out there. So much good out there that you can just tap into. Instead of looking for the bad, instead of saying things aren't going to work out, figure out how to make them work out. So anyway, I hope you found this interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to go deeper in the next one. Well, I'm doing the meatballs, which is going to come right after this, part 2. It'll be next week's video that you see. So enjoy life. And don't forget, enjoy life and live incredibly full every day.